All right, my friends, hello. My name is Tay Nix. In this video series, I'm gonna walk you through something that I think a lot of business owners miss, that even for people who think that they're doing this correct, there's a lot of room for improvement. That's my experience, looking at a lot of different things that I see online, offers, and various offer stacks and funnels that are set up to offer a front end and a back end. This is something that maybe I'll call the front end, back end flywheel. And you'll understand by the end of this series what the flywheel concept is. A flywheel, in mechanical terms, is something that it's a gear differential that this wheel is turning, but because it's a different size than anything else that's in your machine, it makes everything else spin that much faster. So once you get the flywheel going, this is really, I mean, it is, to me, it's the key to having a really successful, profitable business. I've been lucky that I've seen this done at the highest level in a financial research publisher that I work for, the biggest of its kind anywhere on earth, as far as I know. This is what they do so effectively with front-end offers, the way that they monetize that, the way that they use their ad spend to then build the list, and then the real profit being made on the back end. But this all requires you to have a proper appreciation of, okay, so what goes on the front end? How do you actually design your front end to be not just something that people will want and pay you for, which then obviously cancels out or liquidates your ad spend, which is really the big goal of your front end offer. But then how do you make that front end naturally lead them to want what you can offer on the back end? This is something very, very few people, I think, do as well as it could be done. And so I'm going to try to share with you some of the important lessons that I learned creating front ends and back ends, both for my businesses, for other clients that I work with, and watching this done at a level of, where people are making hundreds of millions of dollars in sales every year by really getting this process right. So to start out, I think if we started at the beginning and just looked at, well, how would you create a front end? Well, in the first place, and I've made this mistake multiple times in my career, and so I'm probably a little oversensitive about it, but you definitely do want to start with a market in mind. So say you're an expert at, I had an idea to fix the US healthcare system once upon a time. The problem was nobody cares about fixing the US healthcare system. So the years that I spent in medicine and trying to build a medical education company that would really revolutionize the way that hospitals deliver care, that would allow people to heal on their own, well, nobody gives a shit about that. They want to sell pills and surgery and all the rest. So that's an example of a really bad market. I hamstrung myself by trying to bring what was actually a very viable and very useful solution to a bunch of people who absolutely did not care about that. In fact, they were very intimidated and threatened because their own salaries depend on the system sort of as it is. So my point is, you have to go to a market of people that are hungry. I remember what Dan Kennedy said about finding the right market. Most people think like, oh, I have a passion for this, so I'll turn it into a product and then I'll sell it and everybody will give me money. It's like, no, actually, that's inverted, right? Go find something that people want. Find the market first. What you care about doing and what you're passionate about doesn't matter at all, right? I mean, it matters to you. So it's better if you can do something that you're interested in, but it only matters to you, right? And if it only matters to you, you're not going to make a lot of sales. You can't build a business and actually make a good living based on that kind of dynamic. So find a hungry market. I like Dan's 10 questions. So if you had to make a front end, this would be some preliminary things that you should think about, right? If you identify a market that might be viable, right? What keeps these people awake at night? What are they afraid of? What are they angry about, right? Who are their enemies? What are their top 3 daily frustrations? You can get Dan Kennedy's top 10 questions probably elsewhere online. I'm not trying to rip off the guy, but this is a really, really good way to begin looking at how you would create a front end offering, if, say, an info product, let's say, although it could be e-com as well, right? I'm going to show you some examples here, either in this video or in the next one, depending on how long this runs. What trends are going on? Look at the trends. I mean, create product and launch stuff just based on what's in the news and sort of what's coming up. Okay, that's a very, very good way and a viable way to be looking at how to structure your front end. I'm going to show you applications and sort of how I did this in my own business as well. What do they desire? What's their big desire, right? Is there a built-in bias to conventional wisdom or to the way that they make decisions, right? If you know that people are biased in a certain way, use that in your front end. Do they have their own language? Obviously, you need to speak the language of the people you're trying to sell to. All of these things would be considerations for a good front end offer. Who else is selling something to your target audience, right? We need to know that, right? That's part of doing good diligence to make sure that you have a viable market. If you're trying to sell something that nobody else has ever sold before, that's not a good sign. That's not a sign that you're an original thinker. It's a sign that you're probably barking up the wrong tree, because the idea that you're going to come up with something that nobody's ever thought of and it's going to be a huge hit. No, you're better off starting out when you do this, finding a market that already exists and then slicing off a piece of that and directing that traffic and that potential profitability toward your own solution. That's a much better way to be thinking about creating your front end. Who else has tried selling them something similar, and how did that effort succeed or fail, right? That's another question that you need to come up with. Another series of questions that I thought were very helpful. This comes from Mike Dillard. I learned this from Mike Dillard. Who's not just a really savvy marketer, very successful guy in his own right. He's also an excellent teacher of this stuff. The questions you're trying to answer when you start out to create any product or sell any product or create any kind of service that you're going to offer to people. Who specifically do you serve? You got to get as granular as you possibly can. What problem, what specific problem do they have, and are you going to help them with? Right. So, people dissatisfied with their marriages. Okay, that's all right, but right, that's still pretty general, right? Are we talking to women? Are we talking to men? Do they have a specific religious belief that might play a role in whether or not their marriage could be saved, right? That's the kind of specifics you need to drill down to. What's the prevailing wisdom about this? Like, what's the conventional wisdom say, right? If people think one thing and you can position yourself against that, this is very important. I'll go into this in another video. What's wrong with the conventional wisdom, right? This is just as important as coming up with your idea. What is your specific solution to the problem? And here, you really need to get into a mechanism. Like, can we describe the secret mechanism that you're using? I'm going to give you an example of this here in just a second. What benefits are you actually providing, right? Time, money, right? In the end, there's only a few things. It's like in all recipes, right? It comes like whether the food is delicious or not, it comes down to, is there salt? Is there sugar? Is there fat? Like, what are the things that you're providing that people really, really love to consume? If you're saving them time, if you're saving them money, if you're improving their health, relationships, status, right? All of these things are sort of what we're really selling. That's the real thing that we're selling, because we're selling the benefit of what we do, not just the thing that we're actually describing to them. Okay, this is very important to understand. I know for a lot of people, this is fundamental kind of old thinking or very obvious thinking about marketing, but you'll see how this matters when you create your front end. How is your solution different from everything else? You have to position it against what else is out there. When people hear about your solution, what are they going to say right away? What would they say that would prevent them from trying it? You have to be able to suss that out. That's very important. The obvious ones are like, well, why would I trust you, right? You have to have answers to stuff like that, even in your front end and obviously in your back end. But if you conquer this in the front end, then the back end becomes very easy, right? You will have already answered a lot of these objections. And much easier to get somebody who loved your front end to buy your back end. What would be the next 2, 3, 4, 5 things that you could also sell these people? If they like the front end, what's the next thing we can sell them? What's the next thing? What's the next thing after that, right? And then also with the front end, decide, are you trying to maximize profit right out of the gate, or are you trying to get lots of new customers? I think that's a very good framework for coming up with your front end or back end product / solution to whatever it is that you're going to put out to people. Now, I want to show you, and I'll have to pause the video here and share screen. I want to show you how you can do this. Here, I'm specifically talking to coaches, anybody in the health niche of any kind. If you're working with clients one-on-one, whether it's on people's, psychology, success coaches, anybody doing health and fitness and wellness, anybody selling e-com products like supplements. Let's look at how this front end, back end flywheel can be applied to just about any health condition. And I'll give you some of the guidelines for how I did this in my own business. Just about any condition you can think of. Okay, hold on. Okay, here we are. This was the first thing I did, and I had a mentor who helped me with this. And so I don't take 100% credit here, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to show you the process that I went through to create an info product. This is for people suffering with, as you see, acid reflux. Now, with any health condition, okay, and you want to identify something preferably, right, that mainstream medicine is not helping somebody with, but you could apply this, you could extrapolate this out just by positioning it against conventional thinking. So in this example, right, conventional thinking is, well, here's what modern medicine doesn't get about acid reflux, okay? But if you're a coach, say you're a success coach, or you're working with clients one-on-one like this, obviously you could have a survey that just identifies which of your clients' beliefs really fit with the conventional wisdom, conventional thinking, right? And then positioning your solution against these things that are holding your clients back. It's the same. Like in this case, I'm teaching people essentially, right, how to understand their digestive system and how to combine foods in a different manner that once like you identify what's going on, this is what the conventional medical system is telling you, but they're wrong. And here's why they're wrong. And here's how you can fix this. Okay. So, but my point here is that with a front end, anything that you can come up with, whether it's a condition, whether it's an obstacle or something with a high failure rate that people are trying to do, like getting a business off the ground, for example, you could create a breakdown of different specific obstacles, problems, types of that condition. So when I say condition here, I'm using that as a broad term for anything that could be considered the pain point that your client is facing. Okay, so in health, this is very obvious. It's very, very clear. It's not that it works with every condition. Like we tried something similar with IBS, for example. Well, IBS is a very complex condition. It's a very sophisticated, confusing kind of thing. It didn't go as well as the acid reflux thing, which is it's very easy for people to understand that taking an acid blocker doesn't help your acid reflux. That they get that instantly. In fact, they've already realized that. They've already convinced themselves that that is true. So when I show up and say, hey, what's your reflux type? Well, the first thing these people think is, I didn't even know there was different types of reflux. And now that I'm seeing this and I can't get rid of my reflux and I've tried pills and I'm frustrated to the ends of the earth, right away, I'm compelled to, okay, well, what is my reflux type and what's this guy talking about? So you see the copy here, it's very, very simple. This is just a typical quiz funnel. There's nothing really particularly fancy about this. Selecting this, okay, one of the 4 types, takes me to the lead capture, obviously. Okay. My goal here is not to show you the copy of it, but just the structure of how I did this. And so now we're going to take them to the page. This is a sales page. I recently added a video that speaks about their, about the 4 types so that they understand on a very basic, but like instinctive level that there's something different about this approach. With the front end, the best thing that you can convey to your target audience is, this is different. This is different. You haven't seen anything like this yet before. And I'm going to walk you through how all the other so-called solutions that you've tried, why they didn't work and why this will. Okay. So let me break down, obviously I talk about the reflux types. I talk about cold reflux, right? The type that I selected from the quiz. And then obviously we describe enough of their pain, who I am, et cetera, and we make an offer for the front end. Now, the front end, in this case, is not designed to fix everything that could be fixed about digestion. So the lesson here is, what could you give them on the front end that provides some degree of more or less immediate relief? Now, we're talking about digestive illness. Chronic digestive illness that is not something that you developed, 15 minutes ago, right? This is something that's been going on for you for a long time. So the idea that they could get immediate relief, which in fact this protocol does provide for people, because as complex as digestive illness is, it's not actually that hard to get some kind of improvement. It doesn't mean they're going to be cured. It doesn't mean they can go through this program once and everything is fixed. So the lesson here for business owners, for people putting out info products, even for supplement companies and people who are marketing e-com kind of solutions to problems, if you're in the health field, including coaching, the important thing is, what could you give to your audience, or not give to them? This is not a lead magnet, right? The lead magnet is the quiz, right? What we want is that they will pay us for a small improvement in their condition, knowing that there's more work to be done, but happy that they made the decision to get some relief with what I can share with them quickly. So my entire front end, this is an info product, obviously, was done with that kind of premise in mind. It's like, well, I can't cure all your digestive problems, and there's still more for you to do. But these things you will get clarity on. You won't have any more guesswork. I mean, that's a big one you can always do. Like, I'm just going to clarify what's going on for you. Doesn't mean we're done, right? And I don't say any of that here. There's no mention that, like, by the way, there's a back end coming after this. Not at all. I'm just offering them enough that if somebody sees this and they're dying from acid reflux, in some cases, literally dying, right? And so when you think about your front end, what you want to do is, what could I do that would help these people enough that they would at least listen to why the upsell is coming, right? And then they also need the second piece of this. Our upsell take rate is like 20%, which isn't bad, right? It's enough that this product ran for 3.5 years, doing well over $100,000 in net profit after ad spend. $100,000 product after ad spend, like a net profit, that's freedom. Right? If you got one of those running for you, you're free to go build something else, do something else, live your life the way you want. Okay. So I'm gonna pause there. I'm gonna stop the video now because I don't want this to run too late. This is gonna be a whole series of videos I'm doing on the front end, back end flywheel. But what we've learned in this video is almost anything in the health world, including coaching, can be broken into a front end and a back end. There's a right and a wrong way to do this. There's good, better, and best ways, let's say, to do this. And my goal in this video series is to share with you some of the best practices and the thinking and the psychology that goes behind creating a really, really ass-kicking front end that also then allows you to sell something really excellent. Yes, baby. Okay, my love. Yes, my love. 2-year-olds in your office, so that you can sell something excellent and high profit on the back end. Okay. The way to do that is to find the one thing that you might be able to offer, or that you could get your people to purchase, that brings them very, very, if not immediate relief, then significant improvement. Like quickly, like in a day, in a week, like quickly, they get through the material and it's like, no, something's different here. Something's changing. I think I like what's happening here. Okay. And then obviously we're going to market the back end to them. So I will show you the rest of that funnel in the next video here. And also we're going to continue to walk through what is the front end, back end flywheel. And once we get this flywheel spinning, right, you can really create quite a significant business. All right, I better break there. Thanks.